You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Away we go, the Thursday edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365. It is Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill prior to Game 5 of the season as the Maple Leafs host the New York Rangers. Game 3 of 5 on this road trip. Nick Alberga again and Jay Rosehill in Italia. What's going on in Italy, Rosie? How are you, bud?
Yes, sir. Slept on a plane last night, but touchdown not long ago. Got into our spot, and my goodness, what a beautiful city. It's exciting to be here, but I think the jet lag is going to have me watching the game late tonight, so it works out perfect.
You're in Rome. How long is that commute from where you're out around Calgary all the way to Italy?
It's a 10-hour flight, I think. So
yeah,
it wasn't hard, though. Car picked us up, and away we went, and it was pretty easy peasy. Hopefully it's that easy getting home, but yeah, I got the whole family here doing a little sightseeing. The teachers are on strike over here, so made sense to squirt away real quick, but luckily I can keep up on the hockey.
Very smart thinking. I like that, and I hope you're keeping up on baseball as well. The Blue Jays, massive victory last night against Seattle. Absolutely clobbered them, and I love this storyline, this arc. Game 4, Max Scherzer. Maybe we gave him the Leafs Morning Take bump earlier in the year, but he's on the hill for the biggest game of the season and a veteran. I love this. He's 41 years old, dude.
It's crazy, man. He's older than I am, and then we are, and he's hucking it like that. How's your shoulder not toast after that much pitching? Unbelievable. But I hope he has the game of his life. When you see the bats come awake like they did last night, it's inspiring, and it makes you think that, oh my God, like baseball's funny, right? You just don't know what to expect, and you can have games like that, and you know they need a couple more, and I think the city would start to buzz after a rough start to this series, but exciting nonetheless.
I know people always push back and say there's no momentum from game to game in pro sports. If there is in one sport, it's baseball. You can catch fire. We saw that with Vladimir Guerrero last night. Was outstanding. I was a little annoyed. I wish he would have gone for the cycle, man. He ripped that one into the gap and had a chance for the cycle, but what a team guy to stay at second in a 12-2 game. But the bats are alive. The momentum's there with this Blue Jays team. We'll see what they can do. And make sure to check out our multitude of podcasts here of the Nation Network covering baseball in Blue Jays Nation, 6-inning stretch. We got it all covered here as we get set for Game 4 of this Mariners and Blue Jays ALCS. Meantime, wasn't a busy card in the NHL on Wednesday, but we did get some crazy games. Like on the same night, Chicago and Buffalo put up 8 spots, but I was really zoned in on that Senators-Sabres game for so many reasons. Among them, those terrible looking Senators third jerseys. What do you think of these, man?
You don't like them?
No,
I like the old school
gross.
logo.
Yeah,
I know they're a little bright, a little missed the mark. That boxy shoulder pattern, not the best, but no, they're not terrible. I just don't like. I guess I don't like a couple of the patterns and that bright look, but I like the old school logo, and they're trying. You can't make everybody happy, but yeah, not the prettiest in the whole world, I guess. What was the unanimous verdict? Everyone ripping on them, or what?
Yeah, people were ripping on them. I don't know. I am old school. I get why they unveil a new jersey every third day in this league, but I remember the days where it was like this, just the same jersey every year. Remember that? Where it's like you didn't even have to think about some unveiling. It was going to be the same jersey year after year after year.
Yeah, then you kind of have eras and whatnot, but I don't mind the third jersey.
Yeah.
You have your jersey through an era, but you're bringing up thirds, and I don't care if it's a money grab to sell more jerseys. It's fun to see them, and you know, sometimes they miss the mark and sometimes they nail it. Like when the Vancouver wears their old school skate ones with the black helmets. Oh my God.
Sick.
Like, it just doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, I even got to see the Utah Mammoth when I was in the NHL store a couple weeks ago in New York. Their logo up close and their colors, they really pop. Watching that game last night with Calgary and Utah, I really like those tarps a lot with Utah, but the Ottawa-Buffalo game was nuts. 8-spot put up, and Buffalo finally wins the game. Chicago wins the game. I wanted to get your thoughts on Frank Nazar's highlight reel goal and sort of his reaction after scoring said goal. This is, in a nutshell, this is the NHL in 2025, Rosie.
Nice goal. Starts a melee, and then somehow he gets out of it and goes for a twirl. Oh my God. Sum up the new generation. Like, look at the guys are all putting themselves on the line in some way, shape, or form for him because of him. He was at the bottom of the pile, weasels his way out and goes for a little celly twirl. Like, all he's thinking about is Instagram at the time, I'm sure. Interesting enough. I don't like it, obviously, but for all the people ripping on Austin Matthews the last couple of games, not jumping up for Cowan and Nyes and whatnot, hey, he kind of got in there, I guess you could argue, compared to that kid. My God, he needs some veteran presence to maybe give him a little bit of a tune-up on what the NHL is all about. But maybe I'm just a dinosaur too. I don't know. But you're on the same page as me. I wonder if there's any under 30s that are disgusted by that too.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I got heat from Hawks fans on Twitter, and I'm like, look, I like Frank Nazar, and I also preface by saying I cover a team in the Maple Leafs, and there's X amount of players around the league and on that team that probably would have done the same thing. But it's like, you look behind you, and you're right. The Instagram picture is phenomenal, and I'm sure he's going to post that on his gram today. Is Frank Nazar? He looks behind him. You caused all this, dude. You went into the goalie. You scored that goal. All your teammates are sticking up for you and you're celebrating in like game 5 of the season, man. It's crazy to me.
They just don't have it in them sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was talking to an agent of some players in the league, and it's funny. He has some guys that have some grit that aren't scared of too much, and they're willing to push the envelope a little bit. And, I was telling them, like, man, just lick your lips at those guys, because the league's needing them more and more. They're not scared of nothing. There's nothing to be scared of. You can go have your way with half the teams and not have to pay any excuses. So if you're good at straddling the line and staying out of the penalty box, doing some greasy stuff out there, getting under this, like, the Rats could take over, like everyone argued they would. But I think the caveat so far is none of these kids know how to be a rat or how to be physical or how to change the game with, those dark arts. So for the ones that do, I'm just like, man, you could have a place on an NHL club for a long time if you can play the game and you get involved physically and are there for your teammates and just have a bit of an old school mentality. But they don't seem to breed those as much. So I don't know. I know they search high and low for them. So when they find one of those kids, I mean, if you're a bubble guy, like, it's not hard to get yourself on the right side of the line. You just got to attach a set of balls once in a while and you'll stand out like a sore thumb.
J-Rock writes in, I'm glad this is the takeaway from that game. Yeah, it was 8-3 Chicago in that game. I'm not sure you're going to find that in the springtime in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I think in general, a weekend, it's been a very sloppy start, but it's also fascinating to me where it feels like a lot of teams are already in deep shit. Like, they played 4 or 5 games, like namely the Ottawa Senators. You get hammered by the Buffalo Sabres. You lose Brady Tkachuk. I know they're already calling for Pettersson's head in Vancouver. It's been a turbulent start for the Leafs, the LA Kings. Like, it's crazy how quickly things can go, even though it's an 82-game slate.
Well, and the team the Leafs are facing tonight too, disaster start. Like, they literally quote is, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry. It's that bad. And it's nice. And I mean, after, what was it, Monday's game, I think, to get the win against Nashville. Before that, it makes you think, I know we do get a little bit spicy when things aren't great, but you look around the league, like, imagine we're in, the situation of some of those teams you mentioned. And Pettersson, what is going to happen with him? Like, his future just doesn't look
He is
bright
so
in Vancouver
soft.
or maybe anywhere, man. Like, he had that pop-off year, and ever since then, just shit has followed him for the next several years. I don't know if that JT Miller deal will end up being a good thing or not, but they went with the young stud kid. I don't know if he's got it in him to be a stud in the NHL. It seems like he's folding every time you look at him. So lots of other storylines that I'm glad that we don't have to cover every day. That's for sure.
True. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. By the way, the Leafs on the ice right now for the morning skate. And there's an absence to tell you about. Willie Nylander not on the ice, but we see Steven Lorentz as a placeholder on that second line with Michelli and Tavares. I know Craig Berube going to speak momentarily here, so we'll find out more on this front. But not great news. We're going to reserve judgment until we find out more.
Yeah, they're not skating the morning skate. I don't know. I hope he's got a tummy ache or something, or feeling not his best, and just decided that a skate in the morning wasn't going to benefit him at all. I hope it's nothing more than that. But we've been dinged with the Joseph Wall saga. Scotty Lawton's down, and then if Willie Nylander gets added to that list, no bueno, man. I'm starting to see patterns of chemistry starting to emerge in these lineups, and you start to envision, okay, when this guy gets healthy here, and you're looking at the lines, and I think that if who knows what's going to happen with Cowan, but if he can be that guy on the top line to create and to be valuable up there, like that kind of solves the problem of everybody saying, well, we need a top six. We need a top six. I've always said if we had a top six, everyone would slot down so wonderfully. And you look at the bottom six, it would be like, oh my God, once Lawton gets back, you're looking at a heavy team. And we always talk about those heavy teams going deep in the playoffs, absolutely have that depth at their bottom six. So we'll see what happens with Willie Nylander, but I'm trying to go in the direction of everyone getting healthy and we can get a full roster to look at here and start building. So again, hopefully that's nothing big, but I'm sure Craig Berube will shed some light on it one way or the other, and hopefully it's positive news.
Via David Alter, who covers the team on a daily basis, we know Steven Lorentz, Sammy Blais, and Phil Myers are on the ice late doing extra work, suggests that Lorentz was placeholding for Nylander, who was walking around the locker room here and should be in the lineup tonight despite not skating. So there's your answer.
Yeah, why wouldn't he skate?
Maybe he just showed up and he's like, fuck it, I don't want to take part in the morning skate. Maybe he had a YouTube show to put together.
Nowadays, I don't know, man. I was getting flack for the way the boys looked walking into game one with their, purses and outfits.
Yeah, what do you think of the new attire, Rosie?
I don't know. You know me, I'm old school, and I'm sure Craig Berube is just shaking his head too. Like, if you're gonna go, if you're gonna show up and just ready to be a dog and go to war, are you wearing purses and necklaces and shit to the rink, or are you more? It just doesn't seem like they're ready to go be, a Wendell or a Dougie G or a Tucker, a Corson. And I don't know. I guess people are probably shaking their heads that are younger, going, "Well, that's because they're not, and we don't know." Blah blah blah. But no, more and more stuff about this. The way the league's headed and where it's at makes me chuckle, just because it's different. But I hope that is the case and that Willie just took a little day off and said, "Hey, Chief, I don't need to go for a twirl today. I got my touches the other day. I'll be ready by tonight," because that would probably be a Willie thing to do.
How much shelf life do you give on this YouTube excuse? Like, I can't keep saying it, right? Like, I got to end it at some point, the whole YouTube joke.
I keep meaning to go look at it. Like, is it up? Has he got stuff on there? Or...
Dude, he's probably monetizing like us, man. He's probably hammering away. Here's how you get to you hit that subscribe button, hit that like. I get it, man. It's a tough job sometimes.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me one day if some kid had a channel and had a XYZ and wants to bring his phone in the locker room and like live stream him warming up in the gym or show his walk into the room to get his gear off and onto the bike or just something like that. And it's coming. And it's going to be one of these kids that we're talking about. But nonetheless, if Willie gives 100% effort and he is intensely trying to invoke his talents on the game in every way, shape, and form, you can do whatever you want, Willie. I just need the effort. That's the only criticism I've ever had of him. Other than that, do your thing.
Hell yeah. I love it. And he was great against the Nashville Predators the other night. We think he's going to be in the lineup here against the New York Rangers on a Thursday night. Speaking of which, don't forget, after the game, check out the Leafs Nation After Dark with Zach Phillips. And also, speaking of the Rangers Maple Leafs connection, Brian Berard, former Maple Leaf for the Pat Quinn era, is going to drop by Rosie in about 15 minutes here.
Yeah, I doubt he remembers, but I was going to hang out with Brad May after one of the Battle of the Blades back in the day that Brian Berard was a part of, and sitting in the dressing room having a beer with him, and seemed like an all-around nice guy, stud hockey player, no doubt about it, first overall, and was playing back when it was a man's game, that's for sure. So be fun to pick his brain and see what he sees so far in the first 5 games of the season, or 4.
5. Game 5 here for the Maple Leafs tonight after 4. You're right. By the way, Zach's writing in the chat, Johnny Lazarus from Morning Cup of Hockey is going to guest on the Leafs Nation After Dark tonight. So make sure you check that out at the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins, if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. So the Rangers, as you talked about, cannot score a goal on home ice, man. They've been shut out 3 times on home ice, but on the road, they're okay. They've been up and down to start this season, but I'm really honed in on the fact that we could see a goalie duel tonight. Anthony Stolarz against Igor Shesterkin.
Yeah, I hope especially the former there is going to continue the pattern of pushing pucks aside from the New York Rangers, but 2 very competent goaltenders, obviously, and I'm sure a very hungry team. I don't know what the heck's going on around here, but a very hungry team, obviously, for the New York Rangers to rectify the slow start they've had to the season.
Is like a bellboy coming? I hear a ring. So
I'm gonna have to yell at someone to see if someone's at the door or what's going on here.
I think that's your doorbell. I think it's your doorbell. We'll find out more. But yeah, Shesterkin against Stolarz is, I think, the way I would build this game. But I think from the Maple Leafs perspective, I want to see what they have after the Nashville game too, right? What they put together, finally a more complete effort. I still think there's some room to grow. Going to be zoning on the decor, moving the puck, but just playing more of a simple game. And there's going to be desperation on the other side. The Rangers have been shut out in back-to-back games now.
Well, I know. I always have trouble. How do you look at these games? Is it catching a team while they're struggling, or is it a hungry team who's, let's be honest, the Rangers are a better hockey team than they have started, and they are doing everything in their power to rectify that. So are you going to get a desperate, hungry hockey team that's going to come in there and shoot the lights out? I mean, you need to be prepared for both. But again, I think what coaches normally say is, look after what you can control, and if we take care of our side of things, then we should be in a good spot to win the game regardless of what they do. So I'm sure that's the mentality tonight, but it's going to be interesting to see how those guys come out. I'm sure it'll be desperate. They might have to weather a storm at the beginning as these guys try to throw the kitchen sink to take control of this game, but that's kind of where I'm going to be paying attention is the first 10 minutes of the first period. Who's taking control and who looks good, and I imagine it'll be a dogfight for momentum.
The chat makes a good point. Your Uber Eats is there. You probably ordered breakfast, or no, it'd be dinner at this point in time over in Italy. Although I don't know why you'd be ordering. Why don't we go out and get some food? But you're getting some Italian food, nevertheless, I think.
I will exercise the Uber Eats at some point in time, but for my first dinner, I'm gonna go out. I've been thinking about it for a while, and probably gonna muck a few carbohydrates, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that would be quite the move. Get to Italy and just boom. Let's order in, honey. Let's do that tonight.
Order in McDonald's.
Yeah. Don't do that either. I know a lot of tourists tend to do that. They go to like Italy and they get McDonald's, although the menu's a bit different there. But enjoy the city. I love Rome. I was there this summer. The depth scoring for me, Rosie, has been a nice story so far. A nice surprise, right? We talk a lot about the core guys and the big boys and the top 6, but I think it's been the bottom 6 that have been shouldering the offensive load, which is great news, I think.
I think it's amazing because, if it was the flip side and your big boys are doing all the scoring, what's the narrative? It's like, yeah, but can you rely on them that heavily? And we need to create more depth through the roster, and you need more guys scoring in the playoffs, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It's kind of been the other way. And I haven't seen too much. I mean, aside from Willie's effort the first couple of games, but, they're getting their cookies on the empty netters, Matthew is for sure. But to me, it's not a problem at all. It's a good thing. Those big boys can score goals. They'll be there when you want them. And if you're getting, it's exactly the thing. If say they take a week off where they're a little bit cooled off, and your depth comes in and your D comes in and they're putting the pucks in the net and they're getting you over the hump and winning you games, getting you 2 points. Excellent problem to have. And I look at it as, this is kind of what they've tried to do, get away from a core 4 pieces that have to do all the leg work. And if they get shut down, you're absolutely in shambles. Spread the wealth out a little bit and be able to get some contributions from all kinds of guys. And, guys need to step up. Kelly Yarncroke, for example. And these guys that are putting the puck in the net, they're just solidifying themselves in the roster, as we talked about training camp, there's just a plethora of forwards who's going to show up. And so far for me, the song of those guys that could be in or out or bubble guys, Calle Yarncroke's taking it by the reins. I don't think he's going anywhere for a while.
Yeah, no, I like that too. He's off to a really hot start. Again, a big reason why the bottom six has been a really nice story early on in this Maple Leaf season, I should say. But I think too, like, and I know it's going to be boring, but I'm really hoping for a low event game. I think the Leafs are due for like a Craig Berube type game where it's like 3-2 or 2-1 and they're turned on defensively. Yeah, they're getting the saves, but the guys are in the right spot. They're moving the puck. Like, we haven't seen that type of game just yet. I know they're not billed as a fast team. They're a big team. They're a heavy team, but they're not the quickest team in the league, but there's a way to move the puck quickly, if that makes sense. And we haven't seen that.
Yeah, agreed. And, they seem to get a little spread out. And I don't think that's Berube's, philosophy. I think supporting the puck and knowing where it's going to go, funneling it to one side, cutting the ice in half, having 2 layers of support, all the stuff that pro coaches preach. I think they would benefit from getting on board because they have the clientele that is going to have success doing that. Of course, Willie Nylander, if you're going to go off script and do some creative stuff, Chiefs not going to handcuff these guys, especially in the O zone. But the point is playing those systems to get those guys in the offensive zone more and get puck possession so they can go to work and let their creativity and offensive output shine. So I'll be looking for that. Another thing is playing 60 minutes. I mean, their second periods haven't been great. And regardless of how the first goes, the second, it's just kind of after that intermission, the momentum's up for grabs, right? And you need to be prepared. You need to, go over your checklist of details on what are we doing? Make sure you stick to those in the first 5 minutes of a period and not give things up as they've kind of done that this season. I just like to see, maybe it's a boring hockey game. I don't really care, but if it's a 60-minute solid hockey game, I think that would be good for morale and a good way to kind of go into the weekend.
Per Craig Berube, William Nylander missed due to maintenance and will play tonight.
He needed a massage, boys. He needed a little rub down.
Yeah, what would that mean? What would that mean? Like, what kind of maintenance do you need right when the morning skate's happening?
Well, if something's bugging him, if he's got a bruise on his wrist because he took a hack on the last game, and instead of going up there and getting a few touches and snapping around, maybe aggravating a little bit, you get the trainer to work on a little bit and just say, hey, Willie could use some maintenance. Can he stay off today? No big deal. And again, when you're that prominent of a player on a team, you can do that more often than not. Other guys are playing banged up, but at this point in the season, especially a guy like him, he's going to make the best decision for himself. And if it's better for his performance tonight to stay off the ice and get some work done in the training room, then by all means do it. And he's earned that, I think. And you want him feeling as good as possible.
Francesco Pinto writes in, Leafs have to cut goals against. That's fair. And again, it speaks to the cohesion, defensive play, moving the puck. And that's the one thing I do want to see tonight, is just better conversation, better communication with everybody as a cohesive unit. I feel like sometimes, in the early going of the season, they're playing almost like individuals, not working as a team. And I think the gap between the D and the forwards, I want to see that a little better and improved in this game against the New York Rangers. Again, we expect desperation from this Rangers squad. Back-to-back shutout losses on home ice. They're going to be horned up and fired up. How do you feel about Steven Lorentz? I know he's back skating, which is excellent news. He got dinged up last Saturday night, but it's the same old mentality, I guess, from after the opener. They're going to stick with the roster that won the game. I get it, but I want to see Lorentz in there here.
Yeah, I do too. He's a guy that, could solidify kind of that left side of probably the fourth line. And if he's working and he's skating and he's hitting and he's forechecking and he's shooting and, taking care of his own end and taking care of the puck and limiting turnovers, he can be pretty effective. And we've seen him have chemistry with different guys. I'm looking forward, for him to get back for sure. And he sounds like, by all accounts, he's very close, which is encouraging. I'm kind of more concerned about when are we going to start hearing about Scotty Lott skating as those guys had some chemistry as well. And you can start to see where, maybe Waugh moves up a line, maybe Domi moves to the wing. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I do know that, when Lorentz is back first and when Lawton gets back, that bottom six, you can start to see it take shape. And I think people are going to be pretty happy with it, especially when these guys start playing a little bit more games with each other and understanding what their tendencies are and habits and how to work off each other. You'll start to see the chemistry going. I think that's exciting, but first things first, we got to get these guys healthy, which I don't know why I'm surprised. It's usually, you usually can't get out of camp and exhibition season unscathed, and certainly didn't here with the Leafs this year, but the weeks tick by pretty quickly, and I'm sure Scotty Lotz is working hard to get back too.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're about 5 minutes away from Brian Berard dropping by the podcast. Gareth makes a really good point here in the chat. I like that the D are jumping up on the rush more. I've noticed that specifically with two guys. OEL, I think, has had a really, really good start this season, coming off a 3-point night against Nashville, and Morgan Rielly. And that's a really good point to bring up, because I think at times last year it was lacking. But Rielly specifically has that jump this year that we haven't seen in quite a while. I like the way he's played.
Yeah, I mean, should have been on the score sheet in a pretty big way at the third period of last game. He missed a wide open net, but he's getting looks, he's getting chances. There's lots of times I see a guy get an opportunity kind of on that back door, and you're like, oh, and then you realize it's a D-man jumping up, and that's dangerous. It's dangerous for the other team. Guys can sneak down there, and we've got a lot of dishers on this team, guys that can thread the needle and find guys with good vision. So if they want to pop down there, we've got good enough guys like OEL and Morgan Rielly. These guys have a nose for the game, and they have, offensive enough minds that they can see where they can pop down. They're not going to get caught. And they can pop right back to their point after. And what happens there is your wingers start to scramble around and running around, and they're missing their assignments, and it throws everything off for the D zone structure of the opponent when the D are active like that. I love it. And you've already seen a handful of games into the year here, that D zone jump in, kind of creating some chances in offense. And I love to see it. Anytime you can get offense from anywhere, again, bottom six defense, it's just so nice to have. And oftentimes them chipping in is the difference in the games, as we know the margins are so thin in the NHL.
Yeah, bottom line, I would say play to your strengths. I mean, I think they're trying to build this picture that Morgan Rielly's some defensive juggernaut, or they want him to advance into a defensive role. That's not his game. So I like that they've taken the reins off a bit this season and say, hey, jump the rush, but make sure you get back, but play to his strengths. He's an offensive defenseman, and I think at times they were guilty of having this guy just be so defensive and not jump. And I think you want to, have a good blend of both, but I like the fact that it just seems like he's got more rain this season, a bit quicker. And I think the defensive mistakes are still going to be there, but I think as a unit right now, I feel really good about the blue line. Like, I think, can they add somebody else? Maybe a right-handed shot at guy. Maybe. I want to see Phil Myers in there again, but overall, I like the direction that they've headed the last couple of years with this decor, Rosie.
Yeah, it is. I mean, in years past, we've covered the team where, not only do they hang the D out to dry, and the system just led to so many turnovers and odd man rushes against, but the decor couldn't handle that either. And it seemed like there was a lot of scrambling and a lot of sliding and diving and switching and missing a step and losing, body position, all the rest of it. And it just seems a little tighter now for sure. I don't even think the D have played up to their potential yet, and they've still looked pretty solid. Pairings are sometimes still thrown in the air. OEL being on his offside bothers some people, and I imagine it's fairly tough to play that side as well. I think he's better on his left side, but the right-handed defensemen are hard to come by. Some guys usually have to take that role on, but yeah, it's a solid decor. Aging decor is what the knock is, but okay, well then come talk to me in 2 years. I don't need to talk about that right now. We're talking about here and now, and right now these guys, the Tanevs of the world and McCabe's, they have a sense of poise back there that just lends a lot of confidence to the rest of the group. And I'm sure the goaltender likes playing behind them too when they're in position and playing shutdown D, keeping things to the outside and filling lanes and good sticks and all the shit that D need to accomplish to have a solid game. They usually do it pretty well back there. One thing for me I'm watching tonight is the power play. Like Morgan Rielly, you talk about offensive, jumping in on the play. I'd like to see those D being active and getting some offensive touches that would lend itself to having the confidence to do what you need to do on the power play. Going to be watching that closely. Hopefully they get some opportunities and they can start to build on it. But I don't know, like sometimes the second unit looks like, with the 20 seconds they get, they're looking like they're creating and finding seams and getting pucks to the net and jumping on them and everything else. Maybe you need to start, shortening things up on the first unit when it's struggling to maybe create a bit of urgency for them. They know they don't have a minute and 45 seconds to dick around with it, and it's time to make plays and get pucks and funnel and not pass things up a little bit. But nonetheless, whatever they do with it, I'm looking forward to watching them tonight and seeing if they can build on what's been, well, let's be honest, lackluster. I think they're 0 for, what are they, 0 for 8, 9? It's not ideal.
I don't want to complain too much because the Leafs haven't had the puck enough to gain power play opportunities. But right now, 8 power play opportunities, 23rd in the NHL. To contextualize things, the top team right now in terms of drawing power plays, Calgary 19, Colorado 19, the Panthers 19, the Montreal Canadiens 17. And so the Leafs are averaging 2 a game. When they get those opportunities, they're doing squat with it. But I think it's about moving your feet. I mean, you could speak more to this. They haven't really been moving their feet. That's how you draw penalties in this league, I think.
Yeah, and maybe that could lend to them not being as fast, but you got to get your shoulder in front of the guy and move your feet and make him make a decision on whether he's going to haul you down or not. And you see some of the penalties that are against the Leafs this year. It's simply like your stick is along the side of the guy's pants, and that's a hooking, and it's like kind of shocking. So penalties will be called. I know they're not usually a team that draws a lot of penalties, which goes against the narrative for the idiots that think that the league is biased towards the league. Like, imagine having 19 power play tries at this point in time. It would be outrageous. It's more than double that what we have had so far. It's crazy to think that some teams draw that many penalties, but nonetheless, it's not really in your control. When you do get the opportunity, you got to make hay, and we'll see if they can do that tonight and kind of at least break this goose egg. It'd be nice to get on the board with one tonight.
Certainly, and expecting a goalie duel again. Anthony Stolarz 1-2-0, 3.05, 8.86 against Igor Shesterkin, who has been lights out. I know it's early, front runner for the Vezina Trophy. I think he's going to be in that conversation all season long. 2-2-0, 0.76, 9.72, one shutout, man. You read that right? 0.76 GAA. It's insane.
Jeez. And they're still losing. You got scoring problems, boys. So, we'll see what's going on. Yeah, very well could be a goaltending duo. Maybe after this interview, we'll jump on that little bet train and think the under could hit pretty well, too, with 2 very competent goaltenders.
Yes, sir. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We love doing this podcast for so many reasons. Among them, touching base with former Toronto Maple Leafs. And that's exactly what we're going to do today as we bring in former Maple Leaf from the Pat Quinn era. It is Brian Berard. Brian, thank you so much for doing this. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Anytime. First question. Austin Matthews wears 34. Did he call you when you got drafted? And he's like, hey Berard, I'm going to wear this, okay?
Not at all, but I'm a fan of 34. That's for sure.
How you been, man? Like a long time no see. How are things going?
It's been a while. I'm doing good. I'm up out in Colorado running. We have a youth organization out here, and we're going to open an academy, a brand new hockey academy in 2027-28 called CXA, a Colorado Extreme Academy. So looking forward to it. A lot of work.
Cool. That sounds awesome. Lots of interest in that type of thing these days. Nice to see you're growing it down there personally. A product of the OHL here, Easton Cowan. A lot of talk about whether this guy was going to make the team and whether it made sense. And he's slotted on the 4th line to start. And, things didn't go according to plan right away on the top line. He gets a crack at it and seems to have taken the most of his opportunities. What do you think about his opportunity in the league and his chance for development being on the first line of the Leafs?
I mean, it doesn't get better than that, right, boys? So, I love what the Leafs did in the offseason. I mean, obviously, you got to give young talent an opportunity, especially a skilled guy. But I think they built for the playoffs now. I mean, we'll see if they're as good as in regular season without Marner, but I think they got bigger, stronger. Obviously, you get the goal scored with Matthews and Max Domi and guys like that. So I think they're built for the playoffs now. So I'm looking forward to it.
First overall pick, as mentioned in 1995. I mean, what advice would you give a youngster like Easton Cowan, especially in a market like Toronto? What advice would you give him?
Keep your head down. Keep hard, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Again, he's got good leaders on that team. I think that's the most important. I mean, I was lucky when I broke in with the New York Islanders. We had a bunch of core young guys like Bertuzzi, Brian McCabe, Ziggy Palffy. So I think that can make it a little easier sometimes when the young talents spread out. But the pressure's on there in Toronto, that's for sure. So when I went there, obviously it's a different era with social media and things like that. So I just try to keep my head down and go out and just play hard every night.
And did you notice a big jump into the NHL? We talk about all the time, like from junior, the different leagues guys come from when they're that skilled at a young age. You're a first overall pick and stepped right into the NHL. Did you feel a lot of pressure to do that? And when you got the opportunity, was that league a huge step up for you at the time?
That's a great question. It definitely was. I mean, I was kind of, obviously, again, first overall coming to training camp, and right away I was like, wow, this is a step up. Playing just training camp, and then you play some preseason games, and that's another step up with the speed and the strength of the guys, and then once you get in regular season, it's kind of like a wow factor for the first five. I'd say first 5 to 10 games. It takes a little bit to get adjusted to the speed, the quickness. I guess more it's the reaction time, right? You see a player open, you got to give him the puck as soon as you can. And guys read that. So the hockey IQ, I think, is the biggest, talent for guys and skill wise to kind of adapt quickly to the NHL for sure.
So is it fair to say you're a big fan of Craig Berube, Chief, guiding this team? Because we talked about it off the top. You like what they did in the offseason. I think adding some more depth to their roster for sure.
Absolutely, and Chief. I mean, he's a hard nosed coach as it gets, and I think that's what they needed. They think they had too much freedom before Chief got there, and they had no success in the playoffs. And when you're in a market like Toronto, you need that. And then the pressure's on, and to bring a guy like Chief in, who I know personally as well, and I get to play against them, and it's as hard as you get. So I think he's brought that to the locker room, and hopefully it'll show this year. It's tough. I mean, especially now, there's so many games during regular season. So for me, I'll catch a game here and there and watch the games, and then once I get excited for playoffs or right around that March, that when March comes around.
Mm-hmm. And what's your thoughts on the Leafs back end? Obviously, a veteran presence. Some would say they're aging, but it seems like they're all using their experience to their advantage right now. Pretty solid decor. Are you happy with what they've got going on back there?
I am definitely. I think the goaltender, obviously, bringing in a stud like that, I think helps a lot, and will answer a lot of questions. I'm a big fan of Morgan Riley, but I just don't know if he can get the top power play slot done. That's the only question I have. I like how he moves the puck. He's got a great shot, but I think today's era, you need that top offensive guy as well to have success in the playoffs. Especially, you need A1, A2 is the way I look at it. So I think for me, I don't want to call it a question mark, but we'll see if they can have some success this year. They got to move the puck quick. You know how the league is now. It's. I wish I was playing today. That's for sure. It's all about speed, agility, and skill. So, I think that's a question mark. We'll wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I mean, we're all getting there, man, but it's been like, 25 years since you were a Leaf. It's pretty crazy how different the league looks. Like before we brought you on, I was talking about the Frank Nazar goal last night and just the lack of response. Like he turtled and then celebrated. I hated it. I'm a dinosaur, I guess, at 36 years of age. But what do you make of like the current NHL?
Again, another great question. I mean, I love watching it because of the skill level and agility, but to me now it seems like every time there's a good hit, the guys are ready to fight or kind of jump in. And before, if it was a clean good hit, I mean it's just part of the game, right? You didn't have to fight everybody. And now it seems like if there's a hit anywhere, guys are dropping gloves. So it's definitely a different league. I like watching it, but again, I'm a dinosaur too. I still like to police the game and have heavyweights go at it and guys for back in our era, if obviously play with Domi and friends with Domi, if guys took a run at me or guys did, they knew they had to be ready to answer to Domi. So it's definitely a different era today.
Yeah, it is. And you talk about your era, 99, you guys go to the conference finals. A lot of legends on that team. What do you remember from being a part of the Maple Leafs during some pretty good years there?
Probably, that had to be my most fun year. Obviously, got traded from the Islanders, coming into Toronto. We were closing the Garden, opening up the Air Canada Center at that time. Guys like Sundin. We had the Russian Mafia too. We had all the Russians, 7, 8 guys, were awesome players. We just had a mix. We were a running gun team with Pac-Man behind the bench. He pretty much, just opened the doors for us. We had Cujo and net. So for me, it was probably my most, fun time in my career was playing in Toronto, and obviously a good team. I felt that was my really chance to win the cup that year. We lost to Buffalo in Game 6. I felt we had Hasek out for the first two games, and I don't want to call it a choke, but we I think we overlooked, and we're looking at Dallas for the finals. So that was a tough one for me because I thought that was my only shot at the cup.
Yeah, that foot was in the crease, man. Any way you slice it, but it's funny you bring up the Russian mafia as well. I'd love for you to confirm. I think we talked about this last year, but I heard stories about the Russians on the Leafs. Like apparently they used to hack darts in the laundry room, like during intermission. Is that true?
I bet you we had 7 to 9 guys that smoked in the laundry room between periods in that game. And then we
Oh,
had
it's
Big Ricky
true.
Lee and Pat Quinn. Yeah, absolutely. Then we had Big Ricky Lee and Pat Quinn smoking cigars in between periods too. So the smell was great in the locker room, that's for sure. but we had a close team. We had a really, Stumpy was on that team. We just had a Hoagland. We had Freddie Modine. We just had a great squad.
Great way to bond together is just ripping darts in the locker room. I love the old schoolness of it all.
Hey, yeah,
Brian,
the beers in the sauna too, right? It was just old school. It was a great way to play.
I caught a little bit of that era, actually. I'm thankful to say. My dad would always ask me, "You guys don't have beers back there, do you?" I'm like, "Yeah, the guy will grab a cooler and drag it into the hot tub once in a while." But nonetheless, we're talking about kids here with you now. Your program in Aspen, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, definitely. Colorado Extreme, a family, Sheldon Walitsky. I met him actually during COVID, but I met him through Joffrey Lupul, guys like Scotty Upshaw, a buddy of mine, Andy McLaughlin. So he started a program out. It was free to play, free hockey. So he thought about 100 kids would show up, and about 400 kids showed up in Mid Valley and Carbondale. And it was basically free to play. So we did a deal with NHL and Pure Hockey Bags as well. So basically, we provide free hockey and hockey equipment right up from age 4 to 8, and then we have a youth program again, Colorado Extreme, which is 8U to about 14U. We have about 7 teams right now, and we're just building a program. And Sheldon's been funding it all for himself. So our biggest fundraiser every year. This is the 3rd year we're doing it. It's called the NHL Alumni Outdoor Game. We added a little an extra. A fantasy camp this year. So we're doing 2 games. We're doing a fantasy camp with guys that want to play with Cello. We got Chelios coming, Ronik's confirmed. We got a good crew. Younger guys like Bertuzzo that just retired, Shattenkirk. So we got a good lineup. We got Hank, we got Lundqvist in net, we got Marc-Andre Fleury. It's just it's a big party here from Thursday to Sunday. It's a great event. The big game is Saturday outdoors at 3 p.m. and it's just a big fundraiser. It's our only fundraiser for the kids, and we're asking for help for people to come out, and if they want to play in the game as well, they can go on coloradoextreme.org, look us up. They can contact me, and we'd love to have you guys out. We're going to give these guys, the campers, the NHL experience. It's going to be a great weekend.
I'd put my entire life savings that Shane O'Brien's going to be there, right? Of course.
Obi will be there, absolutely. Yeah. we got a good crew of guys coming. He is.
That's great.
So yeah, they're part of it as. Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
No, anyways, yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. That was great. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
You're the man.
Awesome.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. That is Brian Berard. And I love when guys give back. I mean, you get that opportunity to play in the NHL, have a marvelous career, and, guide your path and to give back to the community the way a guy like Brian is. That's great to see, Rosie.
Yeah, it sounds like just watching the goaltenders, it'd be worth the price of admission right there. Some Hall of Famers. So by all accounts, sounds awesome for sure. And it's fun to get his point of view on the current Maple Leafs and talk about his past a little bit and what he's doing today. Good guest as usual, Mr. Nikolai. Good to talk to those guys. It's fun, especially guys from the era that we look back on so fondly.
Yeah, no, very Pat Quinn era, man. That's what made me a Leaf fan, dude. I used to sit in my basement and watch Battles of Ontario and literally almost be at tears when they would lose to Ottawa, which is like never. But like that was such an amazing era of hockey. And again, call me a dinosaur at 36, but you tuned in at 7:00 and you're like, I'm about to watch a battle, a war, and pardon the term, but like everybody hated each other. I know it's different now because it's fucking tummy sticks and we're on social media. We're doing these goofy ass TikTok dances in the gritty. Like it's a different era. And I realized that, but back in like that day, Rosie, these guys weren't texting each other, saying hi, high-fiving each other after the game,
I know, and every era is guilty of looking at the new generation and poo-pooing and saying they're soft. I think it's been like that forever, but It's hard to argue these days when you're looking at the clips we're looking at and then watching stuff from 20, 25 years ago. And I was watching the game the other day and I'm like, my God, is this boring? Like some intensity, please. And you think about what you just said, tuning in to watch a game, a Battle of Ontario, and you're just like, this is going to be awesome. Like, there's going to be so much fireworks. I have no idea what to expect. Who's going to get pissed off today? And where is it going to lead? And how is it going to, change and affect the game? It was so awesome. And I know maybe today's a memory lane show, I guess, of geezers going off about the glory days, but goddamn, it was exciting to watch. No question.
Pat Quinn was a good man. I mean, people have different takes on the Pat Quinn era, but I mean, those are very successful Maple Leafs teams, and just him specifically as a human being was a great man. Like, I had an interaction with Pat Quinn and his wife at the World Juniors in 2009 in Ottawa. He was coaching Canada. Bumped into him in the elevator a couple times, just like the kindest guy on earth, like a big bear figure. Like, I don't know. He just really blew me away with his grace. And that was always my takeaway from Pat Quinn. And everybody you talked to who played for Pat Quinn loved Pat Quinn.
Yeah, he's kind of, I was watching that John Candy documentary online, and just a big bear of a dude, kind of shares a resemblance of, dominates a room when you walk into it, bigger than life, and hardly anyone has anything bad to say about him. It's a great era of Maple Leafs hockey. And if you like you say, you look back and split a couple of hairs, what it could have been differently, to get a cup there during that era, my God, that'd be some legendary stuff. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and it's up to these kids to get the job done. So that's why we're here.
Can you imagine an Amazon series back in like 1999, and they're videoing the guys after the game and just hacking a belly in the sauna with a beer in the other hand? Like, that would be content, dude.
Oh my God. It would be a recipe for getting canceled 25 years later for some of those guys. So maybe it's a good thing they didn't. But yeah, that is one good thing about this new era is you get pretty good access to the players these days in that face-off series, and all the things that they've done with HBO and Prime and everything in between. I certainly didn't have that growing up, and it's cool because these kids have a lot more to aspire to, and they get to know these guys, and it gets them to fall in love with the game in a different way. I think that's fantastic. So one of the positive things that has come out of this generation for sure.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Nick Robertson's name is in trade talks again. On the latest edition of TSN's Insider Trading, Darren Dreger divulged that Tree Living and the Leafs have recently spoke to clubs that may have interest in Robertson. He intimated that Robertson's hoping for a larger role and opportunity. He's played 4 games, 1 assist, -1, 8 shots on goal. Has your opinion on Robertson changed at all, Rosie?
No, he's got lots of upside. I still think consistency is his problem. Again, I love the way he works.
Yeah.
I just can't get over the fact that sometimes he just, like, no matter what he does, I can't help but looking at him like a guy who's like always looks like an American League guy who's desperately trying to prove himself in that league. And there's a lot of fans of Robertson's who would say, well, that's the Leafs' fault, and they've put him in that position. That's why he wants to be out of here. But again, I think consistency has plagued him kind of, and can't knock his work ethic. Seems like a great kid. If you put together some of his highlight reel shifts, he looks fantastic, but way too big a gaps in between being effective on the ice. And I don't know. I don't put too much stock into that's not even a rumor. That we've known that for like 2 years, that Robertson is open to being traded and they're open to trading him. But here you see him right now. We run into injury problems, and he's in the lineup, and you need him. So we're not going to give him away for nothing. And obviously nothing has come across Tree Living's desk that is enticing enough to let him go. And it's tough to pull prospects and I don't know if he's looking for draft picks necessarily. I imagine, that would certainly be an ear as well, because we're so short on it. But obviously nothing's come across the plate, and it's just not breaking news to me to hear an insider say the Leafs are interested in trading Robertson. Like, we always knew that, but until I see breaking news come across my phone, I don't put too much stock into it.
It is going to be a hollow feel when or if this goes down, because we've been talking. This is like Rick Nash out of Columbus years and years and years ago. Like, I remember that vividly. It took like 2.5 years for Rick Nash to be traded. It's like Groundhog Day with Nick Robertson. I'm with you. Just text me in the group chat when this happens, and then I'll react accordingly. And when it does happen, I don't know what the hell they're getting for Nick Robertson. Like, I'm at a point, it's probably like a 5th or a 6th. I don't know who. Everybody watches Toronto, whether they admit it or not, throughout the league. We are the Mecca and we are the team that everybody wants to be. But like, if people are watching on a serious note and being like, Nick Robertson's the guy we want to pick up, and we know Toronto wants to deal him, I don't know what they're giving up to acquire him, if that makes sense.
Well, obviously not enough to acquire him so far. And like, it's not happening for a 5th or 6th round pick, or it would have happened a year and a half ago. I think they want something of substance, because by all accounts, people have thrown names around. I'm like, that guy's not better than Robertson. He's not going to make a difference on this roster. You know what you're getting, at least in Nick Robertson, and you can use him a la right now, where you need to throw him in on the bottom 6 and have him get some reps and facilitate, a spot in the lineup because other guys are injured. Aside from that, I don't see it going too much higher than that. But again, I don't see us getting anything better than that in return. Like a 5th rounder, are you kidding me? I'll hold on to him for that, for opportunities like right now, when you need to have a guy who can handle himself in the NHL play in there. But as far as being full-time, save a spot for him for 82 games and in the playoffs, Nick Robertson, I don't really see it long-term either. It's just been the same carousel round and round for a while now with him.
Yeah, and for the record, this is not personal, because I tend to agree with you. I think I love the guy's work ethic, and I also love the fact that he's never bitched publicly. Like, there are some guys in this league that would have gone through what Robertson has gone through since he started his career, and just been losing it and lighting a gasket in the media and bitching and complaining. You got to give him credit, man. He's just gone out there, played the game, and let things happen the way they would happen. Like, I really, really respect that from Robertson. He's been quiet about everything.
Yeah, he's been all class. He's got character. And I think, a lot of those boxes that are checked is why Tree Living's just not letting him go for nothing. Yeah. Again, it's tough because there's a lot of people that like him, and he's a very likable guy. I just don't see him in this lineup, on this team, going the distance, for where they want to go, simply from the fact that he's just not consistent enough. And, if he's going to be out there, he needs to be putting points on the board, creating chances, being an offensive player. And he can't seem to make it happen. And I can't knock him for effort or attitude or any of that. And again, that's why I wouldn't let him go for a 5th rounder, is because he does bring some things to the table, and he can be useful when you're in a jam. But if something more enticing came across Tree Living's table, I'm sure he's been all ears for a while now, but people just aren't giving up game makers for nothing. And I don't know if he gets dealt. I don't know what it would be for, or what would finally get it over the finish line, because I'm sure Tree Living's heard everything that there is to be offered from the league.
Definitely. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. You can give any bet you would like tonight, whether it's Blue Jays or the Maple Leafs game, anything specifically. Like, I might tend to look at the under. I like this goaltending matchup quite a bit. The Rangers haven't been scoring. Shesterkin, I mentioned the numbers against the Leafs, 6-4-2, 2.67, 9.14. I expect a tight checking type game tonight.
Yeah, the under, I think, is the play. I didn't see the value on it. For some reason, I just feel like Matthew Knies is going to have a night. He's plus 300 to have 2+ points. Matthews is finding it. They hooked up in a pretty sweet way last game. And, Easton Cowan's going to be right there chomping at the bit, trying to keep this train going with the opportunity he's given. So I got plus 300 Kniesy to get 2 points on the board tonight as well. So sprinkle that along with the under.
Yep. I might play Nylander's shot prop again, and Zach Phillips brings up an elite prop bet to consider tonight. Rosie over 2.5 bottles of wine with dinner, minus $1 billion. I think he's got the value at.
Yeah. If I keep slugging them, they keep bringing them, is what I hear.
Dude, the wine there is impeccable. You know this. Like, I'm excited for you.
I am. I've never been as excited to wrap a show, because I'm gonna step out my front door to Rome, Italy, and have myself a real-time dinner. So sorry about your luck.
You're gonna roam in Rome. I love that.
I'm gonna roam in Rome. Yeah, I'm still getting the lingo down. I feel like such a dickhead saying phrases and stuff. I want to be respectful and try to speak their language, but God, I feel like a moron doing it. But hopefully, they give me props for trying.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. We're going to give you tomorrow off, so you're going to be back in the mix on Monday, right?
That is the plan. That is the plan.
Okay, coming up tomorrow, Dave Pagnotta is going to co-host, and we're pumped to welcome in ESPN Sports Center anchor Linda Cohen's going to drop by the show. A big-time Rangers fan, but covers the entire NHL. We're going to get her thoughts on the game tonight, her thoughts on the Maple Leafs moving forward. So that's coming up tomorrow. Thank you to Brian Berard for dropping by today, and Rosie, have a good time. Okay, buddy?
Yeah, and I hope she's in a bad mood after the game tonight. I want them to keep that shit streak going for the old New York Rangers. Looking forward to building on what they started against Nashville. We will see you then. Have a good one.
Hell yeah. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to check out Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com as well. And also tune in After Dark tonight with Zach Phillips and Johnny Lazarus. I believe it's a combo show tonight. So make sure you check that out directly following the Leafs and Rangers. Thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga, and we'll talk tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.